Kengor. He is the professor of political science at Grove City College and executive director of the Center for Vision and Values. He's got a new book out called All the Dupes Fit to Print. All the Dupes, D-U-P-E-S, Fit to Print. We'll talk about what that means in just a moment, but let's go to our guest, Dr. Kengor. Good morning, sir.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Doing
Great.
wonderful. Hey, Grove City College, is that Pennsylvania?
It is. It's in western Pennsylvania, about an hour north of Pittsburgh.
And so we don't want to talk about the Steelers this year, right?
No. We could talk about the Pirates.
Pirates,
though,
the Pirates. That's right. The Pirates are.
For the first time in 20 years.
The resurrection of pirate baseball there is a great thing to see. Even though I'm a Cardinals fan, but so I hope I'm glad you had a great season, but I hope it ends today.
Yes.
But hey, we all got our teams, right?
No, that's right. I like the Cardinals. I like Cincinnati. Those are great franchises.
Yes, they are.
And so, very, very good people and classy organization.
What's unique about Grove City College?
Well, among other things, we don't take any federal aid, no money from the federal government, no government aid at all at any level. We were the first to do that. A lot of people think that Hillsdale College was first, but we were. We went all the way to the Supreme Court on this in 1984, and we lost, of course, but still, we decided then and there that we weren't going to take any government aid at any level because the government thought that if we took even a penny of its aid for even one student for any reason whatsoever, that we had to be subject to the government's countless thousands of pages of federal regulations. And so we said no. We have our independence. We're a Christian college. And I would say in retrospect, especially given the way the government now is going after religious liberty, that decision, that move by us looks even better in retrospect.
You guys are located in western Pennsylvania, and I was familiar with, you're the Grove City. What do you got? 2,000, 3,000 kids, students?
Yeah, 2,500. You got it.
But you're known. But you're known nationally, and so I bet your student body's national, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, we draw from I think all 50 states, and a majority of our students come from outside of Pennsylvania. Not a huge majority, but a majority. And it's a really good 4-year Christian college, and one of the only truly conservative colleges with a conservative faculty in the country.
Grove City College. You can check it out online if you want to look at it as a possibility for your high school student, folks.
Get this. I have to add. It's only $20,000 a year for room and board.
Really?
Which is a real that's
for a private
steal.
college. That is a good price. Talk about your book here. All the Dupes Fit to Print. Journalists who have served as tools of communist propaganda. Why'd you write on this topic?
Well, and if I could connect it to what you were just talking about, what Obama is doing in Washington right now is sort of a classic far left campaign. Obama's mentor was Frank Marshall Davis, who was his mentor in Hawaii. He was actually a Communist Party USA member. He taught, studied, learned, integrated Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals. And groups like Communist Party USA in the 40s and 50s had always had constant ongoing campaigns where they looked for some national issue or some national crisis that they would turn into this major propaganda stunt to try to win public approval, sway public opinion in their direction. And what Obama is doing right now with the government shutdown has absolutely all the markings perfectly of a sort of classic Communist Party USA campaign. And this shutting down of the World War II memorial, you were posing a contrast between that and the immigration reform rally. Well, how about this? Our federal government can't seem to build a border fence, but has no problem immediately going over and barricading the World War II memorial, right?
Yeah.
Or the beaches of Normandy, and you wonder how can they act so quick on the latter, but not on the former. And that's because the latter, the World War II memorial, these other things, for Obama, those are priorities because those are things that you can use as propaganda to try to dupe the American public. And you can only succeed in that if you have the media, if you have journalists on your side. And that gets back to why I wrote this book, All the Dupes Fit to Print, because mainstream journalists, the New York Times, the Washington Post, all these other major publications in the country, CBS Evening News, Walter Cronkite, Dan Rather in the old days, CNN today, whether they realize it or not, often through their political biases, and here it's their love of Obama, Democratic Party, liberalism, they're often working as dupes to advance this agenda that oftentimes they aren't even aware of. Now, in Obama's case today, they're probably aware of it. In the cases that I look at in this book, I go back to the Cold War and give examples of journalists helping to advance literally the Soviet platform, or the platform of Fidel Castro in Cuba, or the goals of Mao Zedong in China, among others.
Talking to Dr. Paul Kengor, who joins us now. Your book, tell us the title of your book and where to get it.
Yeah, All the Dupes Fit to Print, which is a takeoff on the New York Times famous slogan, All the News Fit to Print. And you can just go to Amazon.com. It's a short book. It's the shortest book that I've ever done. And I'm not even sure what the price is up there, but it's cheap. I think it's under $10. But yeah, All the Dupes Fit to Print, that was inspired by the New York Times. I lead off the book with a case of Oleg Kalugin, who was profiled in this gushing, glowing 1959 profile in the New York Times, where he was at the Columbia University School of Journalism, which has been the farthest left of all the schools of journalism for a long time. Columbia University has been the most radical university I think we've had in 100, 200 years.
But it's considered by the academic elites as premier.
That's right. That's right, and for very good reason. I mean, it's basically a platform for liberalism and far left activism.
And then those graduates go straight into mainstream journalism.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they do. And there have been more people at Columbia University School of Journalism that aren't just liberals and progressives, but really far left. And in some cases, and particularly who had gone through Columbia and graduated at Columbia, people who flat out joined the Communist Party. I mean, you would have the likes of characters as diverse as Whittaker Chambers and Thomas Merton in the early 1900s, who went in there as, in Chambers' case, a kind of traditional Taft Republican, and they emerged flaming members of the Communist Party, who in Chambers' case even went on to spy for the Soviet Union. So Columbia has been really bad about that for a long time.
Talking to Dr. Paul Kengor. You got a chapter in here on Walter Cronkite. And wasn't he the most trusted man in America for a couple of decades? I mean, this guy was an institution from probably the 50s through the 70s, or I don't know when he quit, but I mean, at least for 20 years or so, he was kind of known as
most trusted man.
Yeah.
Newsman.
So what can you tell about Walter Cronkite?
No, that's exactly right. And Cronkite was again generally on the left, not so far to the left where he was a closet member of Communist Party USA or anything like that. But American communists and Soviet communists saw that he was such a solid liberal, and that so biased his reporting, especially on Vietnam. And in the early 80s, also the Reagan administration, that they looked to him as somebody who could possibly advance their causes in propaganda. And I give the example in the book, and we publish it in full. In fact, I've got it here in front of me right now. This is a May 14th, 15th, 1983 document. It's May 14th, 1983, and it's from the Committee on State Security of the USSR, which was the KGB. And the subject head says, regarding Senator Kennedy's, this was Senator Ted Kennedy, regarding Senator Kennedy's request to General Secretary Andropov. And it's a letter from the head of the KGB, Viktor Chebrikov, to Yuri Andropov, the head of the Soviet Union, and it's about a literal secret offer made by Senator Ted Kennedy to the Soviet Union. And this document has been declassified. I swear people listening may find this hard to believe. It's absolutely true. No one denies this. Kennedy himself didn't deny the document. And it was a secret offer by Kennedy, May 1983, to reach out to the Soviets in the middle of the Cold War to try to undermine Ronald Reagan. And Kennedy believed that the situation in the Cold War was rapidly deteriorating. It was getting far worse. And as this document says, and I publish it here in both the original Russian and an English translation, Kennedy blamed this not on Andropov and the Soviets, but on Ronald Reagan. He said this was the fault of Reagan's belligerence, as he put it. And so what Kennedy does is he offers to reach out to Andropov. The letter says Kennedy is, quote, unquote, very impressed with Yuri Andropov. And Andropov, by the way, before he did this, ran the KGB for a couple decades. And so Kennedy says, what can we do to try to counter Reagan? And among other things, he says we should, first of all, Kennedy should go to Moscow. He should meet with Andropov. The Soviets should come to the United States where they could talk directly to the American media. And Kennedy would connect Andropov and Soviet political and military officials to certain possibly sympathetic high-level people in the American media. And among those that are noted in this document, in this memo are Walter Cronkite, and also, to give you a modern name, even Barbara Walters is mentioned in here as well. So the fact that they thought that they could count on Cronkite as a possible dupe, somebody who could be used here to maybe support the Soviet position, or at the least to continue to hold an anti-Reagan position, as Cronkite was clearly doing from his post at CBS Evening News, is quite remarkable.
Paul, today's journalist, and this is a topic for another day. We only got a couple of minutes left here with you, but today there's so much available to people today. You know, you can go on the internet and get news from anywhere and everywhere, all kinds of opinions. The news today, yes, there are some news shows with hard news on TV, for example, but a lot of it now is opinion, talk shows, those kinds of things, political shows. So has the landscape changed drastically between, yesteryear and today in terms of the influence, the impact of the news media on the general public?
Well, it's a good question. And the good news is that these different sources of opinion 30, 40 years ago, it was basically the New York Times, the Washington Post, the LA Times, CBS, ABC, and NBC.
Right.
And then CNN came along. And now people are getting their news from all kinds of different sources. However, the problem is that many of the elite media, fellow journalists, people that are in the media, they continue to get it primarily from CNN, New York Times, Washington Post, same sources, and now add MSNBC and NPR to the mix. And so as long as those continue to shape public opinion, we're going to continue to have this problem.